you ever felt like being your true, authentic self was simply not enough to help you to get ahead at work, and it actually served as a barrier blocking you from advancing in your career? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly why these differences are actually your competitive advantage and how to own it unapologetically so that you can win in your corporate job. Are you ready? Let's do this. So in many corporations, the old outdated narrative is that we need to find people that are really going to fit into our culture. And while the intention of this is really good because you're trying to get people that will really gel in the organization, the impact of it is missed because it ends up really reinforcing biases. When I talk about biases, the first thing that comes to our mind is gender bias and racial bias, ethnicity bias, national origin bias, and yes, all that is the case. But honestly, it reaches much further and beyond those scopes. The biases that trying to get everybody to fit into a specific culture actually causes us to miss the brilliance that different personality types and different people can bring into an organization, because we're trying to get everyone to conform to a specific standard, and that standard is typically the majority standard. And the reality is that the differences that we all bring to the table, whether or not it's personality difference, cultural difference, really is a competitive advantage. It is what really makes an organization stand out. So I'll take myself for an example. For a long time in my career, I was made to feel as less than because I was more of an introvert. And what introvert means is not that you lack confidence. People think that because you're not the most talkative person in the room. Although I'm on a YouTube video, you may think I'm the most talkative person in the room, but usually that's not the case. And people think that if you're not the most talkative person in the room, that you lack some sort of confidence, or you don't have an opinion, or you're shy and afraid to speak up. And that is not necessarily the case. An introvert is simply someone who processes internally and gets their energy from being alone. And the reality is that I was being forced. I was being told that you need to speak up more. Basically, you need to be more of an extrovert in order to succeed in a corporation. And I was very resistant to that. And I was frustrated by it. Sometimes I tried to be the loudest person, but it just came off as super weird and awkward because it was just not my natural style. And yes, I believe we all have to learn to flex our styles. But when my confidence really went to the next level was when I realized the value that I brought to the table that the people that wouldn't shut up, frankly, didn't bring to the table. And I got this confidence when I read this book, and I'll link the book down in the description below. It's called The Power of Introverts, a book by Susan Cain. And it really made me understand that I'm an internal processor. I'm logical. I am able to sit and observe and see things that the people who can't shut up are not able to see. And frankly, I'm able to problem solve and innovate and get to the root cause of things much quicker because I am more of an observer rather than a speaker. And I say this not to come off and, as Kisha, you're so great, you're so smart, you're so amazing, but really to lift up the understanding that we all bring something amazing, something brilliant to the table. And until we learn how to own this brilliance, we're always going to be able to feel or be made to feel as less than. So instead of feeling less than, I want to submit to you for your consideration that this difference could actually be the thing that is your differentiator. Instead of playing down the difference, I want you to highlight it, because this could really be your competitive advantage. Back in the day, people used to talk about culture fits. And instead of a culture fit, I think a more appropriate, more modern term, more contemporary practice is what I call a culture ad, your cultural advantage, the very thing that you bring to the table that others cannot bring because of that difference. And so I want you to take a step back and think about the thing that you bring to the table that nobody else can bring. It could be the fact that you are in a place that you're an introvert like me, in an organization that's full of extroverts. That could be the thing that sets you apart, and that you can utilize that to bring something to the table that nobody else can bring. Or it could be gender. It could be you're the only female in an organization, so you're going to bring another perspective that the men can't bring. You could be the only Black person, Hispanic person, somebody of a different culture or background or national origin. Or maybe your difference is something like religion, and religion can be a big one in corporate, especially if you're from a religion that worships on a specific day, and in that organization there's like a lot of extracurricular activities. Or maybe your religion tells you that you don't drink alcohol, and there's a lot of after work events where people are drinking alcohol, and you're being made to feel, or at least you feel internally like, oh, I really don't belong here. What if that difference is your advantage? What if that very thing that you are hesitant about or insecure about is your superpower? So culture fit is so outdated. It's so like 2019. We are about the advantage that we bring to the table. The other thing that comes up frequently is language. And in the US, obviously, the language is English, but a lot of people that speak different languages, whether or not their first language was Spanish or French or Arabic or Portuguese or whatever it is, a lot of time people are being made to feel shame because their first language was something different. And I don't understand, like, when did bilingual become like a bad thing? Like, literally. You talk about competitive advantage, you literally have access to an entire market of people that monolithic or one language people don't have access to. It completely, I have to say, it completely blows my mind. It is an advantage. It is a competitive advantage in every sense of the word. So I want you to own it unapologetically and to recognize that you, my dear, are brilliant beyond measure, and there is no reason, absolutely no reason, that you should feel that you should hide this part of yourself or play it down. Highlight it, put it all out there, and own the fullness and the beauty of the culture and the background and the life experiences you've had. Own your full story, own everything about you, because once we're able to release those insecurities, we can actually honor and celebrate those differences. And that's what I want us all to be able to do, because if we're able to honor and celebrate our differences, we're going to be able to leverage the beautiful diversity that our organization has, instead of trying to play it down. So I want to ask you a question. What is one thing that you have in the past or even currently been made to feel insecure about, and now, based on this discussion, or maybe even before this discussion, you recognize that this is your cultural advantage, this is your competitive advantage? I want you to drop it in the link in the description below, in the comments below, and let us all celebrate you and your beautiful, wonderful difference. Okay, my friend, I leave you with this. If you do not know the value that you bring to the table, don't expect anyone else to. If you really enjoyed this discussion today, I want you to come to my live masterclass that I will be doing on Thursday, October 1st, where I'll be doing a further deep dive for you to really begin to understand what is that difference that you have, what is that competitive, cultural, fascinating advantage that you have, that you cannot just be proud of, but leverage for your advantage to be able to be used as an accelerator to advance your career. So I invite you to come to my masterclass, How to Advance in Your Career Confidently and Bring a Friend. It is always an amazing time in this masterclass, and I cannot wait to see you there. So that is all for this week, my beautiful friends. I see you and I believe in you. Don't forget, you are not meant to shrink down lower, so rise up and own your power. Have a fantastic week.